Growing up, it was just me and Aunt Diane. No dad in the picture. No siblings, no grandparents, cousins, or long-lost relatives. Just the two of us in a tiny house with peeling yellow paint, a creaky porch swing, and a garden full of her favorite, red tulips. She always told me my parents had died in a car accident when I was a baby. She said she took me in because family looks after family. That's how she phrased it. It made her sound noble, like a hero. And I believed her. Aunt Diane wasn't warm exactly. She didn't do bedtime stories or cuddles, but she never let me go hungry. She clipped coupons, worked night shifts at a diner, and always made sure I had what I needed. She'd tape my school photos to the fridge and tell me I had a face too pretty to waste on small-town boys. I didn't question anything. Not really. I loved her, and she was all I had, but little things stuck with me, like how we moved every couple of years. Always to another small town, always renting. Diane said it was because she couldn't stand staying in one place too long, but I'd catch her staring out the window at night, chain smoking, and flinching at every car that slowed down. She refused to let me use social media. Too many creeps, she said. I only had a prepaid flip phone until I was 17, and even that came with strict rules. No internet, no photos, no numbers she hadn't approved, and there were no baby pictures. Not a single one. When I asked about it, she shrugged and said our old house burned down when I was a toddler. Everything went up in flames. Lost your baby book, your crib, your toys, gone. I barely got us out in time. I was horrified, and again, I believed her. Because why wouldn't I? The first crack came during senior year. I needed a birth certificate. For my college financial aid application, I handed Diane the paperwork like always, expecting her to grumble and take care of it. Instead, her face went pale. Why do they need that? She asked, her voice sharp. It's standard, I said. Everyone has to submit ID and proof of citizenship. She nodded too quickly and said she'd handle it. But 2 weeks passed and nothing came. Then one night, I came home from my part-time job and found the kitchen table covered in papers. Diane was frantic, hunched over a typewriter. Yes, a typewriter. Not a laptop, not even a printer. A damn antique typewriter with whiteout and everything. When she saw me, she slammed a folder shut and snapped, "Don't you ever come home early." Without calling. I backed off. But something had shifted, and I was starting to feel like maybe I didn't know my aunt as well as I thought I did. A few days later, I decided to search the attic. Diane always kept it locked. Said it was full of junk. But I knew where she hid the key, and I waited until she was working the night shift. Up there, among dust and cobwebs and old furniture, I found a battered trunk with my name written on masking tape. Leila, private. Inside were clothes I didn't recognize. A blanket embroidered with a name that wasn't mine. Emily, and at the bottom, wrapped in a torn plastic bag, was something I'll never forget. A missing child poster. With my face. But the name wasn't Leila. It was Emily Grace Callahan. Missing. Since 2008. Last seen with her aunt. My hands were shaking. I thought it had to be a mistake. A coincidence. Maybe there was another Emily out there who just looked like me. But then I saw the date. The birth date. The eyes. It was me. And the woman I called Aunt Diane? She didn't save me. She stole me. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the attic floor for hours, staring at the missing child poster until the sunrise filtered through the slats in the roof. My brain refused to accept it. My hands kept picking it up, then putting it down, like somehow it would change the next time I looked. But it never did. The girl in the photo was me. The date matched my birthday. The name was different. Emily. Not Leila, but the eyes, the smile, the dimple on the left cheek. It was me. My entire body felt numb. Like I was floating above myself, watching someone else's nightmare unfold. When Diane came home the next morning, She looked exhausted. But then again, I realized I'd never really seen her before. Not clearly, not with the eyes of someone who knew she might be a liar, or worse. I was sitting at the kitchen table with the poster in front of me. She froze. Her mouth opened, then shut. Her face drained of color. "Where did you get that? You tell me." She didn't move, just stared at me like I was a bomb about to go off. Finally, she sat down slowly and said, Okay, just let me explain." She started talking, like it would make it better. She said my mother, her sister, was an addict, that she left me in a dirty apartment for days at a time while she disappeared on binges, that the state was going to take me away and put me into foster care, and Diane just couldn't let that happen. So one day when I was 4, Diane came to visit and never brought me back. "She didn't deserve you," she said, her voice shaking. "I gave you a life. A good one. I protected you." "By lying to me," I snapped. "By hiding me. Changing my name. Moving every 2 years so no one would find out." She looked like I'd slapped her. But I wasn't done. "What about my dad? Did he even know I existed?" She hesitated. "Your father died before you were born." I didn't believe her. Not anymore. Every word that came out of her mouth now felt like poison. I locked myself in my room and searched everything I could online. It didn't take long. I found the original news articles. Photos of my biological mom, Samantha Callahan, begging for her daughter's safe return. Police statements, blog posts, even a Facebook group called Bring Emily Home. They never stopped looking for me. They thought I was dead. For over a decade. And I'd been living in hiding with the woman who took me. 2 days later, I made the hardest phone call of my life. I called the number listed on the old missing poster. It rang 3 times. Then a woman's voice answered, hesitant and tired. "Hello?" I almost hung up. My hands were trembling. My throat went dry. Then I forced the words out. I think I'm your daughter." The silence on the other end felt endless. And then she screamed. I mean, full-on screamed. Like something broke loose inside her that had been buried for years. She was crying, laughing, choking on words I couldn't understand. And then she said it. "My baby. My Emily." "Is it really you?" I didn't know what to say. I wasn't Emily. I was Leila. But I was also her. Both, neither. Everything in between. The next few weeks were chaos. The police got involved. DNA tests were ordered. Diane was arrested. She didn't fight it. She didn't even try to deny it. I think. Part of her knew this day would come eventually, but that didn't make it easier. The headlines were everywhere. Missing girl, found after 14 years. Kidnapped by aunt who raised her. Reporters showed up outside the house. Everyone had questions. I didn't have answers, just pain. When the DNA results came back, it was official. I was Emily Grace Callahan. And my real mom, the one who had searched for me every single year since I disappeared, was still waiting. I was finally going home. But the truth is, I didn't know what home even meant anymore. The first time I met my birth mother, I felt like I was looking at a ghost. She ran up to me in the police parking lot, arms outstretched, sobbing so hard her body shook. I wanted to run to her too, but my legs wouldn't move. My mind was screaming, "She's your mom," but my heart felt like it was betraying Diane. That woman raised me, lied to me. Yes. Stole me. Yes. But she also bandaged my scraped knees, made my lunches, worked night shifts to keep the lights on. I didn't know who I was supposed to be loyal to anymore. Samantha, my real mom, didn't push me. She just wrapped her arms around me and whispered, "You're home now, Emily. You're safe." But I didn't feel safe. I felt shattered. The house was nothing like I remembered. Because I didn't remember it at all. Photos of a baby version of me lined the mantle. Birthday cakes I'd never seen. A pink bike I never rode. Samantha showed me everything like it was proof we had a life together, like she was trying to stitch me back into it. She told me stories of my first words, my favorite stuffed bunny, how I used to crawl into her bed at night and sleep with my foot against her back. She told me she never gave up hope. Every word broke me a little more, because I didn't remember any of it. I only remembered Diane. Then came the other shock. I had a younger brother. Samantha had gotten pregnant 2 years after I was taken. His name was Noah. He was 15. I was technically his older sister, but it felt like I was some stranger who just walked into his life with a wrecking ball. Noah tried to be nice. He gave me space. But I could see the questions in his eyes. Who is she? Why is Mom always crying now? Why does everything feel different? I didn't blame him. I was asking the same questions. Therapists got involved. Social workers. People who smiled too much and asked how I was adjusting. But how do you adjust to finding out your whole life was built on a lie? Samantha wanted to go after Diane with everything, press every charge possible. But I didn't. Not at first. She stole you from me, Samantha said one night, through tears. She robbed us both. I nodded. Because it was true. But what I didn't say was, she also raised me. She taught me how to tie my shoes and drive a car and survive. And a part of me still missed her. One night, I snuck my old flip phone out of storage. I knew Diane was in county jail, awaiting trial. I also knew she still had access to email. And deep down, I needed closure. Answers to the questions Samantha couldn't give me. So I wrote her. Why? Why did you take me? What did you think would happen? She replied in less than a day. Because I couldn't let you disappear into the system. I saw what your mom was doing. No one was helping. Not CPS, not the police. So I helped. I saved you. And I would do it again. It didn't justify anything. But it explained everything. Her. Love was twisted, desperate, criminal, but real. And that was the most painful part of all. I told Samantha about the email. She was furious. You don't owe her anything, Emily. Not even your words. But I did. I owed her my identity, my trauma, my confusion, my love. All the things she never should have had, but did. I was stuck between two women. One who gave me life, and one who gave me a version of it, and I didn't know which one I hated or loved more. The courtroom felt colder than I expected. Diane sat in a beige jumpsuit behind the defense table, hands folded neatly like we were at church. She didn't look at me once. I couldn't stop looking at her. It was the first time I'd seen her since the arrest. She looked smaller, older. Not the towering presence I remembered from my childhood. Just human. Fragile. Like she could break if the wind blew too hard. Samantha was beside me. She gripped my hand like she was afraid I'd disappear again. The prosecution laid it all out. Kidnapping, identity fraud, custodial interference, years of evasion, lies, and damage that couldn't be undone. Diane didn't deny it. Her attorney read a brief statement where she accepted full responsibility, but asked for leniency, saying she'd acted out of love. Love. That word twisted in my stomach like a knife. Because it was true. She loved me. In the most selfish, broken way imaginable. When they asked if I wanted to give a victim impact statement, I almost said no. But I stood up anyway. My legs shook as I walked to the front. My voice cracked when I began, but I didn't stop. I loved her. She was the only parent I knew for most of my life. I believed everything she told me. And it wasn't until this year that I realized she took something from me I can never get back. My identity. My truth. My real family. But she also gave me something I can't ignore. Safety, even if it was built on a lie. And now I have to live with both of those truths for the rest of my life. Diane cried for the first time, but I didn't. She was sentenced to 12 years, eligible for parole in 7. Samantha said it wasn't nearly enough. Noah didn't say anything. And me? I felt empty. Not relieved, not angry, just hollow. Like the part of me that had been split in two still hadn't chosen a side. I started going by Emily again, but it didn't feel real at first. My school records were corrected. My birth certificate was reinstated. Friends from the Bring Emily home page started messaging me. People who remembered me as a toddler. People who lit candles for me on my birthday every year I was missing. I had a new room, new clothes, new memories waiting to be made. But some nights, I still reached for the old blanket Diane used to tuck me in with. Some nights, I found myself missing the sound of her voice saying, "Lights out, kiddo!" Some nights, I wished none of this had ever happened. Therapy helped. Slowly, Samantha and I built something real between us. Not just DNA, not just grief, but late-night tea, movie marathons, awkward family dinners where we were all still figuring each other out. Noah even made me a playlist once called For My Sister, Who Was Missing But Isn't Anymore. It was weird. It was perfect. And one day, Samantha asked me, "Do you still think of yourself as Leila?" I didn't answer right away, but then I said, "Leila was who I had to be to survive. Emily is who I get to be now. I write letters to Diane sometimes. I don't send them. I don't even keep them. I just write and then burn them. Because maybe forgiveness isn't something you give. Maybe it's something you let go of." It's been almost 2 years now. I'm in college, studying child psychology. I want to help kids like me, kids caught between love and lies. And some days I still wonder, if Diane hadn't taken me, who would I be? But I know one thing for sure now, I'm Emily. And I finally have my life back. The real one. Not the stolen one.